Well, today we had some technical difficulties, and so what I thought I would do for my remote students is to go over the highlights of what we covered in class. So we focused on, now we're changing to a new topic called inequalities, and we already know how to solve equations. And equations, remember, have an equal sign. And we solve equations and get one solution. Now we're going to move into inequalities. You probably remember this in the past with inequalities, the alligator analogy. So inequalities, we have less than, greater than, equal to, greater than, less than, equal to. Okay, and these are commas. And when we solve inequalities, we get an infinite number of solutions. So to represent these, we need to graph inequalities to represent all the possible solutions. Now, when we graph inequalities, there are three pieces or three things that we should know. One, we have closed dots. And the closed dots we use if we were to graph with an equation less than, equal to, greater than or equal to. And notice these all have equal signs. So this means the number is included. All right, so notice right here, that is a greater than, equal to. So that would be a closed dot when we go to graph it. 2 open dots. Okay, not equal to, less than, greater than. And this means the number is not included. So in this example right here, notice there's no equal sign, so this is going to have an open dot. Now the third thing is how we are going to write inequalities. The format to graph inequalities should be your variable. So notice here, the variable is on the left side. Okay, symbol. So our symbols are our inequality symbols. Symbol and number. So notice that numbers 1 and 2 follow the order, all right? And they have variable symbol number. Variable symbol number. So remember I told you that there's no equal sign, so where we're at 1, that is an open dot. And because we have the variable first, the symbol and the arrow go in the same direction. Okay? So the format to graph the inequality, so that the symbol and arrow go in the same direction. Okay, that's why we want the variable on the left-hand side. So in this case, 1 is not a solution, right? Because there's no equals. Right? Over here, notice there's an equal sign, so at -1, it's a closed dot, and because the variable's on the left, okay? And another way you can think about this is, okay, here's my variable n, and my n are all the numbers that are greater than or equal to -1. Over here, if I put the x here, x is all the numbers less than 1. And just so you have some understanding here, -1 is a solution. So those are pretty straightforward. So for these problems right here, notice this is going to make us sad because the variable is on the right-hand side. But to make us happy again, we're going to rewrite, okay, reading backwards. X, okay, is greater than -6. And it only takes a second to do that. And now my symbol and my arrow will go in the same direction. So go like this. Okay, so again, -6, okay, is greater than, so these are all my. So at the end, you're going to have the answer key to this, and so I'm going to want you to make sure that you understand how to do 4, 5, and 6 yourselves. So now we're getting to, I think this is going to be very easy for you. Right? Write an inequality for each graph. And we're just use the variable x. So remember, we want it to be, variable, symbol, number. So for example, x is greater than 5. So it's an open dot at 5, and it goes in this direction. And when you're doing your homework, you do not have to make fancy graphs. You know that 5, all the numbers that are bigger than 5 are going to be solutions. So that's 6, 7, 8, etc. So for these, you're going to write, we're going to do number 7. You're going to write the inequality. You're going to write the variable. It's a closed dot. So you know that there's going to be an equal sign, right? Just x is all the numbers that are smaller, so less than. Notice variable, symbol, -4. And that's all you have to do. I'm back to go over, we're going to discuss how to solve inequalities. So to solve inequalities, okay, we solve just like equations with two changes. All right. The first is a rule. And make sure that you understand this rule. You must switch the direction of the inequality symbol. Okay. You're going to switch the direction of the inequality symbol when the following is true. You multiply or divide the variable by a negative number. Two, always graph the solution. All right. So going over these, right, for number 11, you're going to multiply both sides by 13. And I'm going to let you finish this. But notice the variable is multiplied by a positive number. So you do not switch in this case. And I'm going to give you the answer key so you can do the problems. Here, we divide the variable by -11. So here, we switch. We divide. So we're going to get n was less than, now it's greater than, okay, -5. And we graph it, so it's an open dot at -5, goes in that direction. Okay. I'm going to do one more. Number 13. So just to show you, you're going to solve this like any equation. You subtract 8 from both sides. You get -6x greater than or equal to -24. and you divide the variable by -6. So since the variables divide by a negative number, your greater than equal to becomes less than equal to x. And do a calculator check. You want to make sure that you ace all your tests. So if you go through and you plug this 4 in here, -6 times 4 is -24, plus 8 is -16. So you've checked to make sure that when you plug this in, both sides are equal. And the last step, close dot, goes in this direction. Right. This one might trip you up, so I'm going to do this one too. So here, we're going to isolate n. So we subtract 2 from both sides. We get -3 less than or equal to n divided by 5. We multiply both sides by 5. Now notice your variable was being multiplied by a positive number, so the direction of the inequality does not change, and you get -15. Now remember, now you have to graph this. So you should rewrite to graph. So n is less than or equal to -15. N is, you have to read it backwards. N is greater than or equal to -15. And here it's a closed dot at -15, goes in that direction. All right, so that is what we covered today in class. I'm going to put up the notes. See if I can get them all up here for you. All right, so that's the notes that we covered on the first page. And here are the notes we covered on the second page. Hope this helps, and see you tomorrow.